Secretary of State John Kerry, on his maiden diplomatic foray to the Middle East, arrived in Egypt last week along with biblical swarms of locusts. Writers search for meaning, invoking the book of Exodus, wherein God afflicts the Egyptians with 10 plagues because Pharaoh refused to release the Jews in captivity. The 8th plague was locusts. If there is a bad omen anywhere in this coincidence, it is that Mr. Kerry left after promising Egypt millions of dollars in foreign aid, even as the streets ran bloody with protests against the government of Mohamed Morsi, the Islamist president of Egypt. Mr. Kerry would have us believe that Egypt will adopt political and economic reforms in exchange for U.S. financial backing. No more repression of the opposition, no more interference with basic human liberties. It is a mark of the routine contempt that the Obama administration has for Americans when it tries to convince us that Mr. Morsi and his Muslim Brotherhood have anything in mind other than the complete and extreme Islamist domination of the Middle East. Once more, we are being played for, well, suckers. Some may argue foreign policy must be practical and sometimes heartless, and what's more, Egypt is still in play, as they say. So supplying Egypt with ready cash, F-14s and tanks, as we are doing, is part of a larger, more sophisticated worldview. Play that scenario against the atrocities of the Muslim Brotherhood's ongoing record, an unabated and murderous campaign to rid the Middle East, and Egypt in particular, of any Christian presence. Just as Jews are abandoning an increasingly anti-Semitic Turkey, Coptic Christians are fleeing Pharaoh's land by the thousands as Morsi's marauders round them up for prosecution, burn their churches and monasteries, drive out Catholic nuns and priests. Even children are arrested for any perceived blasphemy, a crime enshrined in the Sharia-based law of the Constitution. Does Mr. Kerry or anyone really believe that the aim of radical Islam is anything more than ethnic cleansing and Islamist domination? Perhaps when Egypt turns the fighter jets we are giving them against our allies, and as we saw in Benghazi, Americans as well. This is a ludicrous iteration of Obama's Muslim outreach. The result is a foreign policy blind to international ethics, devoid of a moral core. Are we courageous enough to honestly evaluate our image overseas, the cartoon of a groveling, grinning Secretary of State offering honey to killer bees? In the last 3 days, the reviled security police throughout Egypt have gone on strike, having lost their nerve and many lives battling protesters against just about everything. Key leaders of the chief opposition party, the National Salvation Front, refused to meet with Mr. Kerry during his visit. To them, U.S. aid is just another power grab for Morsi. They also wanted to underscore their insistence on free and fair elections scheduled for April. Not only will elections mark April as a cruel time in Egypt, former U.S. friend and President Hosni Mubarak, who was ousted in the revolution 2 years ago, will be tried again. A combustible event sure to roil the warring factions. Meanwhile, the new Secretary of State is sticking to his script after meeting Morsi. He said, when Egypt takes the difficult steps to strengthen its economy and build political unity and justice, we will also unlock much-needed private sector investment and broader financial assistance. With that, he completed his 2-day drop-in by releasing $250 million of U.S. aid, with many more millions standing by in the pipeline. It is indeed the time of the locusts.